Judge for yourself, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Itiel Dror.
Thank you very much, Don. Thank you very much. And if you think my tone of saying thank you to Don is unappreciative, it is because he sets me up every time. He says very good things about me, and then I can only disappoint you. And the best I can do is not to disappoint you too much, which is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to talk about IT training, who needs it, why, and how can it be done better in 15 minutes. What you really care about is how to do it better. Who needs it and why? Why do we need to spend time on that? Because if you really want to provide good IT training underpinned in science and understanding, you need to look at the wider picture. So I'm going to try to talk about that in 15 minutes. So who needs it? Well, anybody and everybody who wants or needs to use any IT system and is frustrated, they can't use it. And you need the IT trainer to come and explain. You, the handsome IT trainer. Well, some of you may be more handsome than others. But the IT trainer is here to help people basically use IT. Now, why do they need an IT trainer? Because there's a gap between the technology, the IT, and the human user. The people who develop the IT are, I'm trying to find a British way of saying it, but geeks, nerds, idiots, whatever you want, they don't really understand the user. They develop these technologies in isolation. I just gave a workshop in New York at IBM Research Center. They said, oh, we develop it, and you see this bunch of people who all day sit in front of a computer screen who really don't do such a good job. And then there's a gap between how people think, how people perceive information, and they can't use it because there is a gap. This gap can be closed. There's no reason to have this gap. And if this gap is going to be closed, we don't need the IT trainers anymore. Because people can use the technology directly. My mother told me, find a profession that will have work. Be a tax collector. Be a medical doctor to guarantee a job. So the IT person is really not needed. And we need it because there's a gap. The technologies are not in IT developed in a way that you just use them because they're friendly to the human mind, they're natural, and you just use it just like you learn how to walk and anything else, it's natural for you. They're unnatural in many sense. So why is because of this gap? And I want to start talking how it can be done better. Now, how can it be done better is we want the IT trainer not to be like the people who develop the technology. We don't want the divider here. We want the IT people to be sensitive, to understand how people learn, what are the issues to make people, to train them properly. And if you don't do that, then you just take the people who develop the technology. You need to have a different approach if you want to do it better. Now, to really understand how to do that, you have to understand the human brain. Because the people you train, you're training their brain. And I'm known, usually I carry around the human brain with me. Given that everyone just had dinner, I decided not to bring it today. But I do usually bring a real, not a model, a real human brain to try to explain to you. But the brain itself is what's important are the underlying mechanisms. There's a lot of mechanisms that process information in the brain. And we care about the way they do it. So if the blue dots here are information that you provide to the people you train, it's important what the brain is going to do with it, how the brain is going to understand it and encode it, process it, and so on and so forth. In a nutshell, if you want me to explain the human brain to you and the human mind, the saying I use, the mind is not a camera. Do not read the human mind in the brain. I want to teach you. I'll give you the information, and you people you train, they just take it on board, like a camera. The brain is a very active information processing machine, and you need to understand what happens to the people you train in order to train them if you really want to train them in a scientific way. You need to consider three things. My time is almost done. No, only 5 minutes. How do people acquire information? So you want to give the information to the people you train. How do they acquire the information? Cognitive overload. Do you give them too much information? Do you give them the correct mental representation? So when they acquire the information, do they need their brain to translate it to the way the brain understands it, or you're going to give it to them ready-made? So you need to give and convey the information according to the structures in the brain, not too much information, and to package it correctly. Memory.